About 7 years ago, I made a video building a queen size bed frame. And that video got tons of hits and a lot of comments, a lot of people thanking me actually for that because they were anxious and ended up building it themselves. And that bed I still use today. It's in our spare bedroom, and it's been moved probably about 5 or 6 times. And so this frame makes it easy to break down and move if needed. So here's my latest project, a full-size frame. And here's how I build it. Okay, so I got my lumber, and it's just a little over 40 degrees out here in the shop right now. So all I really have right now for heat out here is that. And hopefully one day I'll get some decent heat. So what I had to pick up, I got pretty much all of these are 8 foot long. I got 4 2x8s, 2 2x6s, 2 2x4s, 2 2x2s, and then on the queen bed frame, I had 1x8s. This time I got 1x6s, and I got 6 of them instead of the 5 before. One because of the price, and we'll see if see how that works out. And then for screws, some wood screws, I got some number 10s by 2.5 inch in length, and then I will use these number 14s in 2.5, and I'll show you where those come into play. So anyway, here's a quick shot of my cut list. Just kind of went off of what I did on the queen bed frame, adjusted my measurements, and we'll see how it works out. I'll give you the, if anything changes, I'll definitely finalize it, but you can freeze the video and write that down if you're interested in building this. So let's get started. So here's what we're looking at. I got all of the 2x cut. I didn't cut the 1x or the 2x2s yet. Those will come later on, but so I got everything kind of laid out how it's going to be. What I'm going to do, before I screw some of it together, I'm going to router the edges because this bed is for my 5-year-old granddaughter. So I want it to be as smooth as possible for her. So anyway, I will router along the top edge of the main frame, the 2x8s. I will router along the sides of the 2x4s, but I'm going to probably fasten them together first. I'll screw them together and then router them so it kind of looks nice, because I'm going to do around the top when they're together. I did the same on my queen bed frame. So I will do that. I'll do the routering real quick, and we'll go from there. Then I'll start fastening it all together. Okay, now that I got the routering done on the main frame boards, I will start the assembly. I'll first knock out the foot and then the headboard. Now this is how the boards at the foot are going to sit. So this side piece will rest on here. So I'm going to bring these screws in from this side so they won't be visible on the outside of the bed. Okay, now I'm going to lay the footboard flat, and I'll just do a couple screws right about there. Okay, you'll just want to make sure your nails are either flush or buried a little bit too far, just so that when you put your side rails on here, they don't hold it out away from the foot. So this is what you'll see from the outside. The head of the bed will be that way. And so what I'll do once I get the other boards in, the other board will come flush to here, and then I'll router this as well, because that's kind of a pointy little tip there. So I'll router that on both sides and other places as needed. Okay, so I have these pieces screwed on, but before I do these, I want to come in for the headboard pieces with screws here, so they're, number 1, not visible, and 2, easier to get to. So what I did, I just came about 1 inch from the top, put my board. These boards are 5.5 inches wide, so I did a 5.5 inch gap, and then the other board. You can do whatever you want with the headboard. You could get some different kinds of board. And then I put my 1x's underneath, just to lift them up a little bit so they're not laying way back. And I'll kind of do a quick overview after everything's kind of assembled to show you why I did that or why I prefer to do that. Again, with the headboard, you could do whatever you want. Okay, so I got that done. Those fastened. Remember to either go flush or countersink your screws here so that when you put this piece on, it doesn't get pushed away at all. Now, as far as before I screw this on, I'm going to get a small piece of 2x8, which the 2x8s are those side rails that are going to go here. So I'm going to pop that in there and make sure, because I want it to fit correctly. And then as you notice, it's a little bit too long here. So what I'll do is after I get this screwed into place, I'll take my saw and I'll cut those two flush. But remember, I will also screw this in from the back side so it's not, the screw heads aren't visible from the outside of the frame. Now there will be some screws, 3 screws here for when you want to take the bed apart. Those heads are going to be visible. It's kind of, it is what it is. So I'm not too worried about that. So let me get this piece in place. All right, I cut my tops flush with each other, so I'll router that once I get it kind of all put together and standing up. So now I'm going to put my 2x8 part of the headboard, and all I did, I'm just making sure it's going to be level with the side rails. And I put my 1x underneath to get the same gap that I had with the 2x6s. And I'll show you that once it's all together and standing up. So I'll just screw those in real quick. I'm just going to put 2 screws about right there because I'm going to need 3 screws of the longer big ones in that outside rail. And I'll show you that in a bit. And again, make sure that those screws are either flush or countersunk so that the side rails aren't kicked out away from the frame. So that's basically it. Now I'm going to put the side rails in and get the screws in the sides of those. Okay, I got my side rails on and put in 3 of those larger screws down each side. So when you want to take this bed apart and move it, it's so easy. You just take these 3 screws out, those 3, 3, and 3. Side rails come right off, and then the headboards and the foot piece are separate. And you can easily move it. And then it's really easy to just line your boards up and screw them right back into the holes that were already there. And of course, they'll go in much easier the second time. And so I routed the edge here. It's a little not super clean. But now I'm going to router these corners here because that's kind of a sharp edge there. And then up here on the headboard, I'm going to run the router around the top of this just to smooth that out a little bit. Got the routering done. Now I cut my little support pieces to about 73 inches. And I went ahead and for this one, I just measured from the top down 4 inches. That's where the top of this brace will be. So 4 inches from here to there. I've made marks along the way. And I just have my clamp to hold it. I'll draw or drill about, I'll do about 6 maybe pilot holes. Yeah, maybe 5. But you don't want to skimp here because these braces are going to be holding the mattress up, basically. So I'll drill some pilot holes because I definitely don't want it to crack, and we want it to be as strong as possible here. I got those in, and these you don't have to worry about countersinking these screws because they're not visible and completely under the bed. And you can put these wherever you want. I just want them buried a little bit so that the mattress will sit down in that and not slide around too much. I mean, you could go up high, but then the mattress would sit way up here, and then could potentially slide off the frame. And I like it this high. You've got room to store underneath, and my granddaughter wanted to be able to go under the bed and make a fort, whatever. So this is a good height for this bed. Now I'll cut these support boards to go across to hold the mattress up. I'll cut those at about 54 inches. All right, and there we go. Now, each of these slats individually, you know, obviously you wouldn't want to jump on them, they wouldn't hold you. But with the mattress, the weight distributed evenly, you're good to go. And you don't have to screw these in. They're just set in there. And then once you put the mattress in, pop it on, they're not going anywhere. Now just throw a coat of paint on and you're good to go. So now all I need to do is remove these support boards, unscrew the side rails, throw it in the back of my truck, drive it across the state and deliver it. Not a problem.